After a cold opening to the warm month of May, we are now entering a warmer period with showers and thunderstorms. Hello everybody, the time is 2:25 p.m. and the day is March 5th. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather. Hopefully everybody is doing well today. We are going to start to see some warmer weather, enough to hit the lakeshore possibly at times over the next couple of weeks. With the short stipulation that there will be some thunderstorms. And some of those storms, particularly on Sunday, might be strong to severe. We're going to touch on all that in this video. So let's get right to it. We're going to dive right into what's happening in the weather over the next couple of days. So here you have the day one convective outlook. This is the outlook for today. You do notice there might be a little bit of a chance for some showers and thunderstorms across parts of the western upper peninsula into parts of Lake Michigan. Nothing expected to be severe based on the current SPC outlook for that day. You do notice that there are several places over the next few days that could see some severe thunderstorms scattered across much of the western part of parts of the plains areas to our west. You do have this little part of Indiana that is in a marginal risk for severe weather. Maybe might see some stronger storms in that region. Really, what I'm watching though is Sunday. We have marginal risk for severe weather focused across parts of Ohio, southern Michigan, and northeastern Indiana, particularly focused along a warm frontal boundary that's going to be moving into the area connected with a low pressure system. Now again, the chances for the setup do appear currently rather marginal, but there is a lot of instability that's going to be in place for this setup, which makes me draw on the idea that there could be some stronger storms in this particular event. So this is expected for Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening, likely into late evening. There is going to be widespread thunderstorms during the morning of that day, but we will see that begin to clear out, and then it will warm up, and then we'll begin to see some more thunderstorms. So this is the current outlook from the SPC for Sunday. Marginal risk for severe weather, really looking like damaging wind gusts and hail, not really looking at a tornado potential with this setup. But again, we'll take a look at the models and get the idea of what exactly might occur with this event. So let's begin first with the 6 to 10 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. You do notice that we are now in a phase of well above average temperatures. You see that Indiana has a very good chance of being in above average temperature in that setup, and then you have western Ohio as well, and the parts of the western Great Lakes region all look to be likely well above average over the next couple of days, with temperatures in the mid upper 70s, maybe even getting close to 80 at times over the next 6 to 10 days. And it also shows in the 3-week outlook kind of a similar scenario where we have above average temperatures as well. So this is something that we are likely going to see. And I think this trend will probably continue as we start to enter into an El Nino season across the Pacific. That will strengthen the subtropical jet stream, and it will enable some of that warmer airflow to be pushed up into parts of the United States as well. And drier conditions likely as well during this next summer that we have coming up. All right, let's take a look at the models now. Here's the height anomaly, the stuff that's currently happening in the atmosphere. Again, let's go into the afternoon, the time that we are currently in. So progressing it forward, you do notice that at about, we'd say 3 p.m. here, you do notice we are still in a ridging. We have been dealing with this deeper trough over the Great Lakes region, which brought our temperatures way down over the past couple of days across the Great Lakes region. On Monday and Tuesday, we were only in the 30s, upper 30s, and some places we're even seeing some snow. In fact, parts of the Upper Peninsula got up to 28 inches of snow, setting a record for daily snowfall east of the Rockies. 27 inches of snow on May 1st and 2nd. Very impressive snow totals up in the Upper Peninsula. Likely going to be done with that, thankfully. I'm sure everyone is sick of snow by the time we reach May. So here you notice that this ridge is going to really just sort of filter in here and deepen and get stronger over us. And you do notice that it is going to be higher pressure up in the upper levels, therefore lower pressure at the surface. That lower pressure will create lift in the atmosphere, rising air. That rising air will also be able to possibly initiate some convection given a stronger lifting mechanism such as a cold front. So that's something we're going to be watching as this ridge kind of sits over us over the course of the next few days. You do notice that there's a few little troughs that's try to move through, some weaker troughs associated with this, but you notice that the warm air mass that really stays over this region for a more extended period of time before we might start to see some more dramatic changes as we get into middle part of May 15th and 16th. You do notice there's a trough that dips in. That's going to be something to watch for a scenario for some thunderstorms. But you do notice that now the air is starting to move a lot faster. Okay, so there's a lot more air movement and air mass movement in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that will also influence our chances for thunderstorms as well as severe weather in particular. So let's take a look at what is going to be happening over the next couple of days. Let's go back to the very beginning from where we are starting at about 3 p.m. This current time frame. You do notice that there's nothing really much going on unless you're in the Upper Peninsula. There is some rain shower activity. As we get into Saturday, 7 a.m., you do notice that we have this low that's sitting off to the west. This low will likely bring some convective activity across parts of the Great Lakes region. You notice Indiana, Michigan, starting to see that development of some rain showers moving into that region, getting a sounding ahead of these little storms. There is the potential that there could be some thunder and lightning with these, but it does appear that it's mainly going to be just some rainfall activity moving through Sunday night, and as we get into Saturday night into Sunday. Here's Sunday night at 7 p.m. You do notice the development of some convection along northern Indiana, parts of Ohio. You did notice that marginal severe risk area that still is present according to the GFS model. Now, some models are comparing this a little bit different, and one thing that is different is right here. In some situations, you can get a situation known as a cap. Okay, and what a capping inversion does is where the temperature exceeds more than this white dotted line here, which is called your lapse rate. Now, the lapse rate indicates how quickly we'd expect a parcel of air to cool in a given region, okay, whether it's moist or whether it's dry. And you notice that these lapse rates are a little bit more, are getting close to the temperature. If the temperature, this red line here, exceeds that of the lapse rate, you get a capping inversion where convective development really can't occur because the temperature is warming rather than cooling. And that's kind of inverting the process that it needs in order for condensation to occur. So that is something to watch for with these upcoming soundings. Your low cloud bases are present. You have high cloud tops. So if this scenario holds together and with the instability that we have present, there is a marginal tornado potential with this setup given here. There is a little directional shear, not as much speed shear though. You have storm relativity values of around close to 200 in some spots. So that is just something to watch out for. That capping inversion could influence our ability to get good thunderstorm development with this, especially overnight. That capping inversion really starts to take hold a little bit better and begins to weaken those thunderstorms a little bit more, causing convective inhibition. But that's really what I'm watching at this current moment. And then Tuesday, we do have this new convective initiation that is showing up on the models. Doesn't look to be as significant. There won't be as much instability in the atmosphere after this begins to make its way through. So again, I think Monday is going to be the day to watch in this particular region. Let's compare that to Euro model real quick. Yep, Euro ECMWF high res going into Sunday. Okay, so Sunday morning, this is Sunday at 1 a.m. You do notice that there are thunderstorms beginning to move in from the west. Now again, these storms are not expected to be severe. I don't think they will really have the energy that they need in order to reach severe levels. No instability, low helicity in the atmosphere, not really much in fostering that, and no really surface cape that exists either with this setup. I think Sunday night's really going to be the day we see the greater convective development with this setup. In northern Indiana, you do notice there is now marginal severe potential with cape values rising up to around 2,500. A little bit of a capping inversion. That's the thing I want to pay attention to, that capping inversion that might inhibit some of those storms from developing. You do notice there are some stronger storms also ahead in parts of Illinois as well. They also packing marginal severe potential, and this is as we are getting into about 10 p.m. You see those storms really start to move into parts of Indiana. We'll have to keep an eye on those and see if they will produce severe weather activity, but there is the potential that they could produce some marginal severe activity with that. There's going to be some surface cape. There's going to be instability of the mixed layer. Surface-based cape does not seem very great with that setup, but do notice that the thunderstorms still continue to move through as we go through Sunday night into Monday. So that's what's currently being shown on the Euro model. Now taking a look at the North American model real quick, getting an idea of what it is saying, you do notice that it does show some convective initiation Sunday morning at 1 a.m. as well. You do have those storms developing over parts of Michigan, and this model actually puts out that some of those could be marginally severe, maybe packing some stronger winds, some thunder and lightning most definitely with those. And then 7 a.m. you still have some storms moving through parts of Michigan and that other line moving into parts of Ohio. Interesting thing is during the morning on Sunday you don't really have much. You have a little bit of instability within the mix layer, and then you also have storm relative felicity values around 100, still marginal severe potential with those storms. No surface cape there with that one. But as we get into Sunday afternoon, this is the difference that the North American model holds out in the Euro and the GFS. We have convective development at 10 p.m. in Illinois. And if you go to a sounding of that storm, you do see that tornado potential. Cape values of over 4,000 according to the North American model. And then low cloud bases, high cloud tops, really indicative of a potential for some severe weather. Surface cape and the potential for some significant severe weather as well. So that's something we're watching out for, whether these storms develop later on in the night or if they develop earlier in the day. I do lean more towards the earlier in the day setup, given the fact that there will be quite a bit of instability and that capping inversion may not sustain itself during the afternoon hours on Sunday. But if you get a look at 3 p.m. on the North American model, there's a little bit of capping, but you do see that environment still starting to get primed for more thunderstorm activity. Not much helicity during the early evening hours with this setup, so that's something to be watching out for as well. But my planned chase area will likely be just regional around northern Indiana, anywhere south of Grand Rapids, and then anywhere north of probably Napanee is really my planned target area if storms tend to fire at any point Sunday afternoon. Let's get a look at the severe weather parameters. Again, keep in mind I'm running this off the RFSA, but I'm looking at the other models here as well, GFS, HRW, NAM, NAM3K, getting an idea of what the environment will look like at 1 p.m. But I'm going to fast forward it to, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to fast forward it to around this time to get a comparison with this particular setup. So let's look at the severe weather dynamics with this setup. Most unstable Cape values. Again, here is your setup for Cape. Cape values ranging from 1,000 farther north to anywhere to 3,000 to 4,000 farther south. Now Cape, yes, you do need that. You do want that instability for stronger thunderstorms, but if you don't really have a lifting mechanism to cause it to take off, that's really not going to matter as much. Your bulk shear, not really a large amount of wind shear, but wind shear that still could foster some thunderstorm development with this. So you kind of see it's consistent across all models that the wind shear will be, there will be some wind shear present across Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, but again, the question is how much and how much will that contribute to severe weather development. Here's your supercell composite values, the potential that you could see some supercells with this setup. Again, a lot of the models really point to parts of northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, of seeing the greater chance for thunderstorm development here. Supercell composite values here, and very large Cape connected with the RFSA. Keep in mind the RFSA is still an experimental model. It's a prototype model. Don't really want to fully trust that just yet. Here's your significant tornado parameters. Again, kind of spotty in different places. The setup for this is not really as well defined, so that's the one thing that need to be aware of with these storms that we'll be initiating. The RFSA does hint at initiation toward in parts of northern Ohio and eastern Ohio, so that's something you might want to watch if you're over in that region. For the GFS, again, pointing more towards that convective development, and the Euro also pointing towards that convective development in this area over here and moving off to the east. So that is the one thing you really want to watch out for. I do think it's likely going to be more convective initiation out in Illinois and Indiana, but still keeping watch for a potential setup for stronger storms. In many of these places later on, it's dependent on how that capping influences the atmosphere that exists, and also just the environment that comes together prior to Sunday afternoon. But it looks like mainly this area has a marginal risk of seeing some pop-up showers and strong thunderstorms that could pack some damaging winds and hail. All right, that's pretty much all from me. Hopefully this video was helpful to you and getting some beneficial information. Be sure to like the video and subscribe for future updates, and likely soon I'll be going out and doing some more storm chasing, which is something I really tend to do during May, July, August, and so keep updates for that. I will be probably traveling around quite a bit. June I will not be able to chase as much, likely only on weekends, but hopefully this video is informational. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.